up against the wall. I'm never giving up, I give my all. I'm never looking back, attack, it's in the past. Stand up, stand up, stand up. You ain't ready for me. Give me your best shot, the stronger I stand. Not looking for step.
Let me talk to you. One of those bottles of Prime. Yeah. Money in the bank? Yeah. Long overdue. Yeah. Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you. Hey, yo. Welcome to another edition of ZFG Podcast. This is ZFG Radio. Liana, welcome back. It's been a minute since we did a podcast. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Yeah, same. I've moved. If you guys have seen the background, I got a house.
We talked about my life off air.
Yeah. I want to say it's the first podcast with me in the new house. Is it? Oh, I want to say
it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It is.
First podcast with me in the new house. I decided to not run the air conditioner that we gave for the front room because it is loud as hell. And I didn't know how much it would affect the background. So I turned it off. So it's like 80 degrees in my living room right now. Because it was 116 where I'm at now today. And that was, it was hell. And I was working on my truck all day.
And it's like 90, like it's 116 where you are.
Yeah.
And you are in
Missouri. Yeah.
So it's 90, right now it's like 70 something.
Let me Google Maps where I am from like Kansas City right now.
It's literally like 70 something at night here in Florida, but during the day it's like 98 with like 60% humidity, so it's like it feels like it's like 100 and fuck you outside.
Yeah, so it was 105 outside today with a real feel of like 120. So it was, it felt like fuck you and some more outside. But I'm 2.5 hours away from Kansas City. That's where I live now. I live an hour and 5 minutes away from the last place I lived at. So, but we're here. We're doing that, and I own a house. I don't have to worry about neighbors. Like I own an actual house. Big thing. I own a dining room table. That's a big thing. I've never owned one of those. So like, that's big. That is my girlfriend's diamond painting that she's doing. I'm not allowed to touch that. So, she doesn't touch this, I don't touch that. We got rules. So a lot of things happen.
But she has her own computer, right?
She doesn't have a computer. She has a monitor that's hooked up to her Nintendo Switch. She's wanting to get her own desktop, but we're going to figure out.
Well, she made a great book cover for me.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I was a big fan of that.
I still haven't seen the final product.
She hasn't been able to touch the computer. We haven't been home. This is the longest I've been home without having to do something. Like tomorrow, I have like something else I got to do that I don't want to talk about on air because somebody that works with me currently I know watches this and like I don't want to like spark up anything.
Spill the beans.
Yeah. I got something going on tomorrow and then I have like a manager meeting at like 2 o'clock that I'm probably not going to. And then like I got to mow tomorrow, and that's a big thing, and I just not looking
For
forward to
those
that.
of you who don't know that are fresh to the podcast, Conner is basically my son.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's my kid, basically.
We've known each other for a decade, right?
Longer, I think.
Okay.
And, like, literally, like, and Conner will attest to this, that my wrestling collection, when I die, what happens to it?
Goes to this guy.
Yep.
I was really hoping I was rocking the band merch that I got from the concert I went to. So like 2 days after I moved in here, my best friend Justin came and got me. We went down to Little Rock and we went and seen Motionless in White, In This Moment, From Ashes to New, and Fit for a King. And it was an awesome concert. There were some ups and downs about it, but it was an awesome concert. I got a pretty badass shirt from it.
Now, from what you told me, In This Moment was horrible.
Yeah, In This Moment sucked live. And a lot of people, like, if you go watch any of their stuff on YouTube, a lot of people feel the same. I don't know if it's just like they have never been able to get like the acoustics right or like the sound right for how they do their performance live.
Well, Maria's got a very unique voice, and
Very raspy,
that
and I
band
enjoy it. Yeah.
and that band has a unique sound as
So
well.
the band
So
itself sounded fine. Like I could
Maria
hear
didn't
the
sound.
instrument. Yeah, I couldn't hear her. Like it just sounded like she was screaming the whole time. And I've listened to her songs. She doesn't scream a whole lot. Like I think "Whore" is like the most I've heard her scream. But it was like that's like the chorus part is "I can't be your whore," and like that's like the whole point of it. But like all the other songs, I couldn't hear a fucking thing she was saying.
Wow.
And I don't know.
So
if
let's talk about some wrestling.
venues or whatnot. But yeah, so let's talk about pro wrestling, and then we'll talk about the shit that we're gonna talk about. So, a lot of historic things happening this year. I don't know if you've been reading the dirt sheets, but so let's talk about the big things first. Then we'll break down to the smaller things. WrestleMania sells out in record time. WrestleMania 40 is already sold out. Happening in Philly. I want to say it's at the Eagle Stadium, but I think I'm wrong. I think it actually might be at Eagle Stadium. I don't remember. I'll have to look back at the venue. And then All in Wembley, or All in London, and they're actually talking about the Wembley Stadium broke WrestleMania 3's attendance record already. Or, well, ticket sales. Now, attendance record, we'll see, like, I don't imagine they're going to get more than 93,000. It's pretty cool that a non-WWE show's already cracked 80K, but, like, this is the biggest non-WWE wrestling show, I think, since, like, New Japan. And that's kind of not fair because, like, they are in Japan, so I don't really count, like, their shows, because I know, like, their Tokyo Dome shows can get massive. But,
speaking of New Japan, we never, like, you watched the highlights of the match, and we never got to watch that match.
I finally ended up watching the match on accident. A buddy of mine at work was playing it, and we were dead, so I, like, started just, like, leaning back on his car, and I watched the whole match. And, like, I have some
What match are we
takeaways
talking
from
about?
Okada and Naito, the finals of the G1. And I have some takeaways from that match. I don't know what they're doing, because in the match, I don't know if they were just going, like, that it's been Naito and Okada, that they've been, like, arch enemies for fucking so long, that Okada's just willing to not give a fuck about the crowd. He just wanted to kill Naito to get to the win, and then Naito was like, "Oh, we're gonna be a heel. Let me show you how to play ball." And, like, it was a very stiff match. Like, it was the stiffest I've ever seen Okada work. And,
Like, when you say stiff, because for those of you who don't watch New Japan, a lot of Japanese wrestlers and people that work for New Japan they don't work stiff, but they work tough.
so no, like, I'm saying, like, I'm not even gonna say stiff. He just was kind of working unsafe. Like, to Naito. Like, he was doing a lot of shit to Naito that I was like, Okada. Like, I don't expect this from you. Like, it was different, and it made me, like, enjoy it because, like, there was, like, a new element to him, you know? So, like, getting to meet that side of Okada was kind of cool because, like, he was out for blood. Like, right away, he was, like, shoving the referee away, fucking, like, going after the leg of Naito, dumping him on his head with a like, actually tombstoning Naito, like, dumping him on his head, and then, like, Naito went after his neck for, like, a solid 10 minutes, like, he did a neck breaker, like, off the apron, where he just grabs Okada and just slams him back of the head first on the apron. And then he did the same thing to him on a guardrail. Like, you actually, like, watch his, like, spine bend a little bit when he does it on the guardrail. And I was like, ah. And then the Destino looked gross, though. Like, it was not a good Destino to end the match. I don't know if they were just exhausted because, like, Naito had just had, like, a grueling match with Ospreay the night before. And then Okada had a match with Evil, which was eh. But Naito and Ospreay like damn near killed each other, and then Naito had to have
So
that
you're telling me
45-minute
Okada
banger.
and Evil didn't put on a good match?
I've never seen a good Evil match.
I love Evil.
I can't stand him.
I love Evil.
I
when
liked
him and Sonata were tag team, I loved
they
it.
were good, yeah. But when Evil left LIJ and then joined Bullet Club, the spark was gone. Like, I don't think he was ready for singles competition. Because think about it, he was with Sonata for 10 years. Yeah, at least, yeah. And then he just split him. Like, there was no build.
I don't know. I see. Now, not to get off track, but breaking up Sonata and Evil will never make sense.
Yeah.
Because that shit worked.
Yeah.
That shit worked.
They were, I mean, granted, yeah, then Sonata got to tag with Naito, and, like, Sonata got, like, the main event rub, but, like, Sonata was he already had, like, destiny of being a main eventer because of who trained him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's Great Muda's fucking little Padawan, so, like, and then, I don't like Sonata now either, like, they've given him, like, a new gimmick since he's won the world title, and, like, it's just not him. He's wearing robes. He's, like, dressing in custom-made suits. And, like, it works with
Sonata?
Okada. Yeah, and it works with Okada because Okada's the Rainmaker. You expect the Rainmaker to wear custom-made suits. Sonata's wearing custom-made suits, and he's leading a stable called Just Five Guys, and it's just...
Let's speaking of legends, let's talk about the return to e-fetting of a legend.
Yes, unfortunately, I did the great error, and I brought back DRW, and I'm back in the e-fed world, so you e-fedders that watch this show, and you get all angry that I don't do e-fedding anymore. The forbidden door has been opened. But yes, Chris DeLeon is back. And I haven't gotten any messages about it, but I'm sure that somewhere there's some DMs that are losing their minds about the fact that Chris DeLeon returned to DRW and not... Because, granted, like, if you...
Well, he returned somewhere else, but he returned to DRW first.
Yeah. And, like, granted...
Because he's in NBW as well.
Yeah. Not a big fan of everything that... Every time I've ever tried to do anything over there, something has happened along the way that, like...
That's why I'm not putting, like... And I will say this openly, because everybody knows I'm Chris DeLeon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a secret. Like, if he doesn't do anything with me, then I'm just gonna, like, if I just win that TV title, which is like my big deal right now, is defending that title every time the camera's on.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are going on with DRW that I'm gonna try to do differently this time. Like, September 27th, we got a big pay-per-view coming up. Decade. It's our first pay-per-view back, and then if we survive after that, we're gonna do the RGP, which is gonna be our Rebellion Grand Prix, and then that'll lead to the winner of that fighting for one of the 2 world titles at WrestleCade, and then we're off to the races with that. I'm just hoping that E-Fetty doesn't die between now and then. But E-Fetting's changed a lot since I was really a die-hard E-Fedder, and it kind of blows my mind. It kind of blows my mind, and it kind of, like, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the E-Feds out. Like, I still, like, read and, like, watch some of the shows that happen if they're call-feds and whatnot. Like, I still read MBW shows. I still read HKW and shit like that. But I don't understand the people that promo and then, like, their shows are just god-awful. Like, why awful promotions stay around, I'll never understand.
There is, there is a page, and I can't remember the name of it. But RPM is over there. And it's a page. I can't remember what it's called. It might be NCW.
Oh yeah, NCW's been around a hot minute.
Yeah, NCW has been around for a while.
The guy that runs that absolutely
And
hates
it's a
me,
page, so you have to
him.
literally you have to write your promos and send them in.
Yeah. The guy that
And then
it,
half the time they will butcher it and rewrite it.
Oh yeah, because they don't like they are like the WWE of eFetti when it comes to like rewriting your shit. Like the guy that runs it hates me, and I've never talked to him. I've never had an interaction with him.
Billy?
Yeah, Billy Thornberry hates my guts. I've never talked to him. I've never worked with him. I've never done anything with NCW. There was a time. I mean, technically I did, but it wasn't. I wasn't working for them. It was back when Brian was doing Lucha Underground, and they did a Lucha Underground versus NCW show, and I fought Abraham Lincoln, and I was like, I'm gonna be the verbal John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, wow.
And Billy Thornberry didn't like that. And he was just like, that's a little too aggressive. And I was all like...
That's funny as hell.
I was 15. I was like, I don't give a fuck how you feel. Like... But, also some, like, outside of the thing about e-fetting, though, was like, I don't know why, but e-fetting's made me watch a lot of football, too. Like, so I've been, like, getting back into football as, like, the season is starting back up. First game of the year is going to be Chiefs and Cardinals, and I can't wait.
Jaguars won again.
Preseason.
Like, dusted Detroit off at 26-7.
I was having this conversation with my biological mother yesterday about how competitive the preseason is. And it's scary because, like, every year when the preseason rolls around, I'm like, I don't really care about this football. Like, I can not watch these games and not miss anything special. Well, then, like, I've been, like, watching the highlights and, like, watching some of these, like, podcasts about the football games and whatnot. And these preseason games getting a lot of attention. Like, for instance... 2 career-ending injuries this past week, one for a Patriot and one for a Buccaneer. The Buccaneer left on a stretcher. So prayers going out to that guy. I think his name is Wolford or Wilford. He was a quarterback, and he didn't even take a nasty hit. He just landed wrong, and it was really bad neck injury, and now he
what
left
about
on the stretcher.
that guy on the Buffalo Bills that, like, got that hit, stood up, and then fell back down?
That was DeMar Hamlin. That was last year.
Yeah, but still,
He's back.
Still to this day, that is like the creepiest fucking clip I've ever seen.
Yeah. So let me just read you some of these
But
scores.
we're talking about football on a wrestling podcast.
Hey, this is a sports podcast. Don't you limit me. So let me just, like, read you these scores for this past...
All right,
week in
Kevin
preseason.
Nash.
Click this, baby. All right, so beginning from the from the Thursday games on, Browns and Eagles tied in what was the worst preseason game, 18 apiece. Giants go over Panthers 21-19. Bengals and Falcons tie 13 apiece. Jaguars dust the Lions 25-7. Dolphins dust the Texans 28-3. Steelers dust the Bills 25-7. Colts get by the Bears 24-17. Buccaneers beat the Jets 13-6 with a guy going down with a career-ending injury. Patriots go over the Packers 21-17. And I'm curious, because I know Ezekiel Elliott just signed with the Patriots. I don't know if he played that game or if he plays this next week. But Titans beat the Vikings 24-16. Chiefs beat the Cardinals 38-10. The 49ers skated by the Broncos 21-10. Raiders beating the Rams 34-17. Seahawks over Cowboys 22-14. Saints over Chargers 22-17, and Commanders over the Ravens 28-29 or 29-28. The fact that like some of these scores are so close and they're so high scoring, just it's gonna be a phenomenal year. And I know that the depth chart for a lot of the teams have changed because Kansas City like changed who the second string was this year. And the second string that we went with had an incredible passing touchdown last week. He like played straight up like Patrick Mahomes, threw an incredible touchdown. It was wild.
I haven't even seen the highlights of the Jaguar game. Like, and I'm wondering, was that our backup quarterback again?
Give me just a second, and I'll give you some stats on that. Jacksonville beats Detroit 25-7 in Detroit. So you guys were on the road, dusting them out. Give me a second as the stats load. It was C.J. Beathard.
That's our backup quarterback.
He went 12 for 20.
And I don't even know who he is. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's fresh out of college.
Can you imagine if that had been
Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. Sorry, it's late at night here.
Oh no, I get you. It's almost 2:00 in the morning here. C.J. Beathard went 12 for 20, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and took his team to a 25-7 win over Detroit. I wonder if the Lions did not outperform you at all. Terry Bridgewater played for them. They played their starter against you guys, and you stomped them.
Yeah. Let's talk about real quick about my Cubs.
Chicago Cubs. You guys won earlier on in the week, didn't you?
We just beat the Detroit Tigers 7-6 today. We're 65-59, so we're doing pretty good. We are. Let's see here. We're second in the NL Central. So I don't know what that is in the whole entire league. I know that we've got a pretty good home run percentage as well, and our RBIs are pretty high. Our pitching is really solid because we start Kyle Hendricks a lot, so every time he starts, he wins.
So
and they usually let him pitch 7 innings.
Yeah.
Because after 7 innings, their arms are just tired, and they just let somebody come in and finish it.
So big pro wrestling news. I didn't watch Raw earlier. Like I watched some of the highlights, like as the show was going on, because I was doing some other things. Gunther loses his first main roster match by DQ.
To who?
Chad Gable. Yeah. Intercontinental title match.
They're pushing Chad Gable.
Intercontinental title match. Both men go to the outside after having a violent, 15-minute fight. Referee gets to the count of 8. Chad Gable grabs Gunther, suplexes him over the barricade, runs in the ring at the count of 9. Count of 10, Gunther gets disqualified.
Wow.
And the fact that he's just now catching his first loss blows my mind. Raw was actually kind of exciting tonight as I was watching some of the highlights. So
I'm just saying it's been 2 days since I dropped my promo and nothing.
I know.
In wrestling news. I'm just saying.
John Cena is returning to WWE for the September 1st SmackDown and Superstar Spectacle in India. Let's talk about this. When the Endeavor deal goes through with WWE, and Kevin Nash covered this on Click This earlier this week, Triple H will no longer be on the creative.
Which I saw that, and I'm literally like, why would you, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, I don't understand why they're going to take him off creative.
It doesn't make any sense, especially when he does, like, he's really good creatively. And I just don't understand. This is what we call dead air.
No, I was trying to
In
I was
radio.
trying to find this I'm trying to find this article that was talking about it because I wanted to pick a specific thing out of it. And everyone was talking about how, like, yes, the ratings have been very up and down with him being in creative and whatnot, but I'm sorry, Triple H has been like, with Vince, I couldn't imagine, like, especially with everything that, like, went on about Vince and came out about Vince and whatnot, I couldn't imagine Vince McMahon still leading WWE. I mean, I don't imagine that a lot of the women would still work
Okay,
there.
so hear me out, okay? Just hear me out. Don't laugh at me. Ponder what I'm going to say. You take Paul away and maybe put Michael Hayes there?
I mean,
Michael's pretty smart. Michael knows the business really well.
you're not wrong.
Now, I think he's like, for lack of a better term, knowledge-wise, he's a quiet Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got his sexual allegation things against him too. Being
Well, it was a
inappropriate
fucking
and whatnot.
70s and 80s, dude.
Yeah. All right, so before we get off kilter here, let's talk about one of the big things that are happening next week, because I'm going to watch the show, and I'm going to review it with you. So let's talk about the biggest wrestling spectacle outside of WWE that is going to be happening all in London, Sunday, August 27th. Literally, we are 6 days, well, actually, depending on when you see this, 6 or 5 days away. We're going to run down this card, and I want your predictions and your thoughts on some of these matches, because I know that you don't keep up with it.
Now, I don't watch AEW because I just don't get a chance to.
Yeah. All right, so on the 0 hour.
Not that I don't like it.
Yeah. On the 0 hour, Aussie Open will defend the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles against MJF and Adam Cole, Better Than You, Baby, on the 0 hour pre-show.
Adam and MJF.
Yeah. The AEW World Champion is on the pre-show. Opening match. I don't know if this is in order. I hope this would not be the opening match. Eddie Kingston and the Lucha Brothers and Best Friends are going to take on the Blackpool Combat Club and 3 more men of their choosing in a Wembley Stampede match, which is like a guerrilla warfare match.
I think the Blackpool.
I don't know. I think Best Friends and them are going to win it.
I'm going for Blackpool.
I think
because
going to get a hold of
I don't like Blackpool, but I don't like Eddie Kingston.
No, that's fair.
I don't think I'm going to put it on record. I don't think Eddie Kingston belongs in the wrestling business.
Ooh.
I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think Eddie. I've always felt that way.
Okay.
And I. By the way, Eddie Kingston, I invite you to the podcast so I can tell you why I think you don't belong in the wrestling business.
Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. I think Ospreay's going to take Jericho's fucking head off.
I'm going to take Jericho.
I'm mad about this match because I just don't. I'm not a Kenny Omega fan anymore. The Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page takes on Bullet Club Gold, Juice and Jay Robinson and Konosuke Takeshita.
Go Bullet Club.
I'm saying go Bullet Club. In a coffin match, Darby Allin and Sting take on Swerve Strickland and AR Fox.
Sting and Darby?
Yeah. In the greatest tag team match that will become the greatest tag team match of all time, I'm putting it out there right now. My boys, FTR, defend the AEW World Tag Team titles against those scummy motherfuckers, the Young Bucks.
Okay, so hear me out. I want FTR to win. However, because of what happened with Cash, they're going to take the belts off them and put them on the Young Bucks. Because the Young Bucks are safe.
I don't know.
You know I'm right.
Like,
you know I'm right. You know I'm right. And anybody, what is our email address?
It's drwprowrestling@gmail.com.
If you disagree with me, if you ever have any comments or questions or concerns, please email us. You should put that on the thing when you put it up.
I feel like it'll be who's the shiniest of two turds political wise, because yes, Cash Wheeler got in, and we'll talk about that as soon as we're done breaking down this card. Cash Wheeler got into some legal trouble, yes, but the Young Bucks got into a fist fight with the boys in the locker room. People were suspended for a year. Cash Wheeler, all he did was have some road rage. I don't think that's enough to take the belts off of him, but TK's playing with his little action figures. Let's see what happens.
I love it when you say that.
And a all-in, what is that word? Annual thing. Every all-in, they're going to do this if they have another one. It is a fatal four-way for the AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida defends versus Toni Storm, Saraya, which is Paige, and Britt Baker.
Britt Baker.
For the real World Championship, CM Punk defends against one of his arch rivals from Ring of Honor, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe.
You're kidding me.
Oh, it's been a great build-up, too. Just
wow.
Recently on Collision, Joe's been calling Punk out, wanting to fight him for the belt, and he choked Joe out, or Joe choked him out last week. So this week, Punk dressed up as a jobber with a mask, and then during the match hit him with the knee in the corner, and then lift him up and fucking hit him with the go to sleep. Took the mask off, grabbed the mic, and said, "I accept, bitch," and then dropped the mic on Joe. And then in the main event.
Now, hold on. Before, you didn't even let me pick.
Oh, my bad.
Now, before I give my pick, you want to tell everybody how many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many CM Punk wrestling figures I have?
You just said it. You have 8.
8. I have a ton of CM Punk stuff here.
We're also
at the
gonna
house.
I'm gonna run this down one more time, and we'll do a fast pick of who we're taking. But in the main event, following Joe and Punk for the AEW World Title, MJF defends versus his tag team partner, Adam Cole.
Cole, baby.
Yeah. So, and they haven't turned any of them yet. So, they're still having a really good friendship.
Okay,
Let's
run the card down again, and we'll pick.
All right. So here we go. Aussie Open versus Better Than You, Baby.
Better Than You, Baby.
I'm gonna take
Who are you
Aussie
picking?
Open just because I don't want to see them take the straps.
Okay.
Eddie Kingston and Friends versus Blackpool Cuckold Club with three random guys.
Blackpool.
Blackpool Cuckold Club. All right. I'm gonna take Eddie Kingston and Friends. Jericho versus the assassin Will Ospreay.
Jericho.
Ospreay. The Golden Schmucks versus Bullet Club Gold.
Bullet Club.
Bullet Club. Darby and Sting versus Killshot and AR Fox.
Darby and Sting.
Yeah, Darby and Sting. The greatest tag team of all time versus the Young Schmucks for the tag team titles.
Young Bucks.
Greatest tag team of all time, FTR. The 4 women's match for the Women's World Championship. The one of 3 women's titles they have, by the way. Sheeta, Storm, Paige, and Britt Baker.
Britt Baker.
I'm going to go with Paige. Punk and Joe.
Punk.
Joe. I just want to see how that crowd reacts if Joe puts him to sleep. That's all I want to see. Main event, MJF, Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, baby.
I don't know.
As much as I would love to see MJF retain, I just think that it's smart booking to put. It's just smart booking. Put him out on Adam Cole, because even me not watching it, that's just garners heat.
Well, Adam Cole just came
more
back
heat
from
on the
a
title.
career-ending injury too, so
Yes.
I would like to see Adam Cole win it, but I feel like they're gonna do this thing with Punk and MJF for the actual world title. So I want Adam Cole to win just so I can fucking mark out. But I'm all right with either one. I don't like the fact that that's the main event. I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe the world title goes on last. Me and you have had this discussion 1,000 times. The world title goes on last. But I disagree with it on this show. I think if you're in the UK, how many more main events does Jericho have? I think
You
Jericho
can put him in the
Austin-
semi.
Okay, Punk and Joe main events then. Because that match has the most build outside of MJF and Adam and outside of Jericho and Ospreay, which is sad because Jericho and Ospreay have a 2-week build. Alright, so then let's talk about one more thing that is happening with the wrestling world. Big E got told he should retire. Yeah. Doctors do not think it's a good idea.
Aww.
He hasn't fully
love
announced
Big
his
E.
retirement, but he did announce the medical update.
Oh, I like Big E. I love him.
Yeah.
He's the only reason that I I like each person of New Day individually, but I don't like New Day. And Big E was my favorite.
I didn't really care for Xavier.
Well, I'll watch it. Be careful, because she's friends with Xavier, actual friends. They talk all the time.
I didn't care for his style. I always liked Kofi because he reminded me, of a lot of Booker T and Coco Beware and shit like that. I was a big fan of Big E because he trained with Cena, and then he had his NXT run where he was the dominant big black guy, and I was I fucking love this. This guy is gonna be the next big black superstar. We need this for the future. And then the main roster did fuck all with him for a little bit, and then finally he got his
Let's we don't have a lot of time, but have you noticed that they have not even been really pushing their black wrestlers?
That's a lie. Bianca Belair just dropped her historic reign as women's champion.
They're not really pushing them. Bianca's the only one they're pushing.
I mean, how many black guys do they have, though? If you actually think about it, how many, African-American superstars do they have that can go right now? Bobby Lashley, they're doing a thing with him and the Street Profits right now. Omos, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. The Street Profits, they should put the tag titles on those guys. Because not because they're African American, but because they're I did not like them. I did not like them out the gates when they were in NXT.
I loved them.
Huh?
I loved them.
No, I didn't like them in NXT. But then they came up to the main roster, and I've seen who they've been performing with, and I've been watching them, and they're really good.
The only guy that makes me watch NXT now is Carmelo Hayes.
I don't watch NXT.
I only watch his stuff. One more thing about WWE before we wrap up. Edge's possible last match was Friday.
Okay, so let's talk about that since you want to talk about that. I think this is Edge's last WWE match.
Yeah, a lot of people, I was about to get to that, a lot of people are speculating that he makes the jump.
Because he wants his last match to be against Christian.
But could you imagine, he spent 25 years with WWE. They introduced him to his wife. Him and his best friend worked there for decades. Countless tag titles, world titles, IC titles, records. Like, I understand that brotherhood means a lot to him. I understand, because that is his actual best friend. Like, his kids call Christian Uncle Jay and shit like that. But ethically, could you live with that decision?
Let me just put it this way. If the place that I work for looked at me and said, you can move to another store for more money, it's a business. It's
You're
a
right.
business.
But is TK
It's
gonna
a business.
pay Edge more than Edge was getting with WWE?
No, it's not. It's not. Well, or okay. With wrestling, it's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about the run, and it's about getting what you want.
Don't get me wrong, I think Edge would have an incredible pop, but if he does it, give him a 4-week run. Let him do the debut, do the moment, do the challenge, do the build, pay-per-view. He does not get in the ring until then. Have the match, do the match, kill it, call it. Like, you never wrestle for him again. You never come out on Dynamite ever again.
And put him over, of course.
Yeah, and then sail off into the sea. Because I want to feel like this is like, because Christian has said that he hasn't got much left in him either. So, like, retire them both at the same time. Like, that would...
And I would like to do this every show. For those of you who are new to the podcast, first off, thank you for tuning in. And for those of you that watch on a regular basis, you're going to hear it again. So, Conner is in wrestling school, and he is learning to be a wrestler. He's learned, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot about the business from me because I'm a retired professional wrestler. I was on the indie scene. I was never anybody big, but I learned the business. And Conner will tell you, I know the business, not as good as somebody who's been like to WWE or AEW, but I know the business to an extent. So I can see Edge going to AEW and possibly having that 4-week run, where he comes out, he builds up, he gets the pop, he gets the build up, he does the match, never steps foot in the ring until then.
Yeah, I don't want him to wrestle at all.
Does the promo from the stage, No,
I'm cool with him getting in the ring to do the promo. I just
know wrestling.
I don't want him to wrestle. Like, I'm cool with him hitting a spear. I'm cool with him doing some shit. But I don't want him to have a full
Now here's
match.
the thing. Is he coming out to the same theme song?
Oh, from Alter Bridge?
Yeah.
I could imagine that, or he comes out to Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Because I know that Alter Bridge made that song just for him.
Yes.
That was...
And he was involved in the creative process, by the way.
Yeah, so I'd imagine that he owns that song. He doesn't own the song, but he could take that anywhere. Speaking
of Edge and all things wrestling, I'd like to take this moment to plug our group.
All Era Pro Wrestling.
And I say All Era Pro Wrestling. And if you find All Era Pro Wrestling, you have to, Connor, repeat after me, have to answer all the questions to get into the group.
Exactly.
Or I
Answer
will
all the
not accept
questions.
you.
Please answer all the questions. It's not hard. Don't be a schmuck. Don't be a schmuck. We still have 15 minutes, by the way, so you're not cutting me off until this time limit, all right? We got 15 minutes. Don't you cut me off early. Don't you take that time away from me, Booker lady. Don't you take that time away from me. Edge had his last SmackDown match. He literally told the Toronto crowd, this is my last match in front of you. Under WWE contract. He kept saying it as a contracted WWE superstar. So it makes me really feel like that, or he's just going to shock the world and re-sign. Like, that, or he's going to ride off into the sunset, come back at the Royal Rumble, win it, and then lose again at WrestleMania, because that's what he's good at. Thoughts on Edge's last run, though? Do you think that they knocked this last run out of the park, or do you think they dropped the ball?
I've seen clips of the last match and leading up to the last match. I haven't seen the match.
It was pretty good. Sheamus and him.
The reason I haven't seen the match is because I don't want to. Because I remember when Edge premiered with the Brood.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming in with Christian, and I remember before he was our rated R superstar. You know, I remember all that, like when him and Christian split, you know.
My favorite thing about Edge back in the day was the Rob Zombie theme song.
Yeah.
That and his feud with Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was great.
Would actually
that was
give
awesome.
us like the best Kurt Angle, because like shave that fucking widow's peak he had, and he'd keep the bald head forever. Out of like, you know, and like he can grow hair. He keeps it bald out of respect. That blows my mind that man can grow a head of hair, and he's just like, I lost a hair versus hair match. Like, I gotta
keep it a gimmick.
It's like Shawn when Taker retired him. He stayed retired. Well, I mean, until, you know, that horrible, fateful night in Saudi. But I don't know. I feel like they dropped the ball with Edge, because the one thing I would have done when they brought back the world title, the least they could have done is let Edge have that. Have him win the world title again, and then him and Seth have a little rivalry, and then Seth beat him for the world title, and then Edge, you know, shakes his hand. I'm off, son. I'm going to go do the thing over there where the crowd pops for everything, and, you know, that crowd pops. I hate AEW crowds. I hate them with a passion. When I watch AEW most of the time, you can ask Zach, I turn the fucking volume down. I cannot stand an AEW crowd. There's times where I'm into it, because they pop for everything. They literally, I could go wrestle there tomorrow, and I could get them to pop over something stupid. That, I don't... The stupid ass shit that gets done on that show. Like, did you see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match?
Nope.
I haven't watched it, but I've seen like 2 highlights from it. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. The coolest thing was Jeff Hardy's entrance. But that's just because Jeff Hardy is an enigma, and he always does cool shit in his entrance. But like, Jeff Jarrett wins, and I'm just mind blown. They gave him a title belt that was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch Champion, and I'm all like, why?
You know I love Jeff Jarrett.
I love Jeff Jarrett too, but that match was fucking
This is
stupid.
a Jeff Jarrett household.
That match was fucking stupid. Jeff Jarrett's done a lot of stupid shit in his life.
You got 10 minutes.
But signing with AEW was the dumbest. Like, I'm mad that Jeff Jarrett... I'm mad that he can still go, and he's wrestling shit, like stupid shit. Like, if he was having like meaningful matches that like was putting some shit on his career, you know, if he came back and like wrestled like MJF or wrestled like, I mean, he did wrestle Darby, so like that's all right. But if he was like wrestle Sting again, or like
Like Adam Cole.
I don't know how you could book that, but I'm sure TK could find a way. Have him fucking guitar shot Britt Baker and just let that start all up. So
There you go.
they also partnered him with Sanjay Dutt, which there was a story with that, and Jay Lethal, but then they had the big Indian guy next to him. I don't remember his name, and I'm just like, what is this fucking?
By the way, for those of you who are like E-Fetters or want to be E-Fetters, Connor has a group. It is called DRW, Dark Rebellion Wrestling. Go check it out.
A decade, baby. Decade.
Yes, come check it out.
Before we kill the show, let's run down the next E-Fed card, and I want your predictions on who you think is going to win in DRW. Granted, your opinions are just that. They're opinions. Nobody take it to heart. Liana's just the only one that'll get on a podcast with me these days and talk about E-Fedding. So, the next time DRW is live is August 30th, 2023, MSG in New York City. Sean Ripper versus Tyler H. Who you got?
Sean Ripper.
Number one contender shot for the Intercontinental title, TJ Shadows, AJ Prodigy, and Firestar.
Why AJ's Prodigy is in this match is beyond me.
Episode, big win.
And I'm going to go with TJ on this.
MWE World Title Tournament semifinals, Jay Styles, Jeffrey.
I have no idea.
Jay Styles. MWE World Title semifinals, co-main event, Osias Tesfaye, RPM.
Okay. Who is RPM at this time?
That's
like what
Roberts.
embodiment? No, what embodiment is he?
Oh,
is he like the Undertaker or?
Literally ring name is RPM.
I'm gonna go with Osias.
And then the main event for the DRW Television Championship inside a steel cage. Cameron Carnage defends versus the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris DeLeon.
I am not saying this because I'm partial to it because it's me, but just the banger that I put out the other day and the fact that it's been 2 days and that person has had an opportunity to respond at right now, me.
I would have to say so.
Now, if he comes back with a banger, like and actually impresses me, then I'll be like, okay, well, but I doubt it.
DRW returns to pay-per-view live September 17th, 2023 at the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It is Decade live on pay-per-view. DRW returns to pay-per-view 10 Years of Violence. Follow us on Facebook. Join the group at Dark Rebellion Wrestling DRW. That's
also, All Era Pro Wrestling.
The links
answer
will be in
the questions.
Description. Answer
yes.
the fucking questions. All right, guys, this has been ZFG Radio. We're going to bounce. We're going to have another episode for you in a couple days. So we're going to get back into doing these. For now, goodbye and good night. Bang!